Here? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here with Joel Hodgson, creator of Mystery Science Theater 3000, as well as the new project Cinematic Titanic. And apparently he is off the satellite of love, and now he is caught in a time tube, I believe. So how have you been, Joel?
I'm good. What's your name again?
Jerry.
Jerry.
Yes.
I'm doing great, thanks. We're looking forward to being in St. Louis, and I think it's a week from this Saturday, right?
Yes, I believe so. It is November 21st.
November 21st at the Family Arena. We're doing a movie we've never performed before. In fact, we're writing it right now. It's called War of the Insects. It's a Japanese movie.
Wow. Sounds entertaining.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and it's our first widescreen movie, so we're looking forward to doing that.
Ooh, so I encourage anybody who has not seen it to go see Cinematic Titanic live or pick up one of their DVDs, which is available on Cinematic Titanic, and I believe that's the only place they're available, correct?
Yeah, you can download it from easytakes.com. You can have it within about 20 minutes if you really want it.
All right, and I was looking through some of the names of those and noticed that the names are a little different as opposed to what their real names are. And wondered...
Sometimes. There's one distributor, a guy named Sam Sherman, that we've licensed, I bet you 5 movies from, and he has us rename them. He's asked us to rename them. So, for instance, what's a good example? Brides of Blood was originally Brides of Blood is now Danger on Tiki Island, and a movie called Dynamite Brothers is now called East Meets Watts.
Whose job is it to rename them? Is it does everybody come up with the title involved?
Yeah, we do it together. We just kind of go, it's the idea is to try to come up with a name that fits, tries to fit the movie and the era that it was from. And East Meets Watts is a 70s, we call it a Kung-sploitation movie. It's like Kung Fu and Blaxploitation together. And so East Meets Watts kind of felt like that. But yeah, it was originally called Dynamite Brothers.
Wow, and also with the Cinematic Titanic stuff I have seen, it seems like you guys take a little bit of your last version of riffing on movies, which is Mystery Science Theater 3000, and wondered just how much of an influence it actually had on your Cinematic Titanic stuff.
Well, I mean, it's a huge influence because that's how we all got to know each other and all work together. And the first, Josh Weinstein and Trace Beaulieu were the guys who did Tom Servo and Crow on Mystery Science Theater, and they created those characters. And so, yeah, it's like a really huge part of it. When I started Mystery Science Theater, I didn't really imagine that we'd be doing like 600 jokes per movie. I just kind of thought, oh yeah, we'll have these characters and they'll say stuff occasionally and they'll go make popcorn. And I think Trace and Josh had a lot to do with like filling that space with more and more jokes. So those guys had a lot to do with it. So that first year at Channel 23 is really where we invented movie riffing together. And I think I just kind of had a vague idea about it, what it would be like, and I think those guys really helped me, figure out and get it kind of where it's at now.
Now, will anybody be able to see the robots by chance with Cinematic Titanic, or no?
Well, sometimes people bring them. We sign after the show, and almost every show, there's people like, just, I don't know how they do it, but they found duplicate pieces of all the robots and collected them and rebuilt them. So there's people all over the country that like make a Tom Servo or make a Crow. You don't see very many gypsies because gypsies are really huge, and you see more Tom Servo's than Crow's because he's kind of self-contained and he can sit on your TV or something like that. And Crow's actually a little bit bigger, but people do bring him to the show.
Wow, that sounds like it would take a lot of work.
I can't imagine. I was there when I made them originally, and I can't imagine trying to recreate them and make it look exactly like the Tom Servo and the Crow that people know.
Now, there was also something that kind of crossed over from Mystery Science Theater and Cinematic Titanic, and more specifically a movie which, according to Cheeseball, watching it a second time was like going back to prison, and that was Santa Claus versus the Space Martians.
Right, Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, and I think that's the one we did in St. Louis last time we were there. And yeah, exactly. And that was one that we did for Mystery Science Theater, and it was one of our most popular titles. And last Christmas we decided to re-riff it and release it with all new riffs under Cinematic Titanic. So that's exactly right. We re-riffed it.
And also, I have heard I haven't heard a rumor, but was kind of curious. Will you guys ever go back to Manos, the Hands of Fate, for the Cinematic Titanic?
Oh man, I don't know. I think I'm not sure. I never say no about questions like that. It's possible. That really is. Manos really is the worst movie we ever did, and I think it is probably the worst movie ever made. It's not much fun riffing on it. It's actually like a tremendous amount of work. And when we did Manos for Mystery Science Theater, like all the pistons were firing. We were really like, a well-oiled machine, and so it went through our system pretty quickly. But I don't really want to go back in and do that one again.
According to Trace, when I asked him about it, he said that was the one film that almost broke all of you.
Yeah, I have to say, I sat there and I remember watching it, and I just had a moment, a very sober moment, where I just said, man, I just don't know if we can do this one. And it turned out great, and we also learned a big lesson there that, the way people perceive the show is often, and with good reason, through the movies we do. And so it's kind of like a collaboration between us and the movies. And if the movies are just kind of goofy, it works better. And so that's kind of what we're up to with Cinematic Titanic. We introduce people to a lot of weird movies through Mystery Science Theater, and Cinematic Titanic is just kind of revisiting that, finding more new weird movies that people have never seen before.
And is the shadowing a lot easier now that it's actual people as opposed to puppets and a person, or is it a lot harder?
Well, when we do our studio shows, it's actually harder because it's much bigger, because we have 5 people on basically a scaffolding. And when we did Mystery Science Theater, it was just theater seats and 3 people in the middle of the screen, so it was a lot smaller. We could shoot it in a lot smaller space, and so now it's harder. We need a lot bigger green screen, and we need a much more elaborate set than we had with Mystery Science.
And also, one final Mystery Science Theater question. Trace told me to ask you, actually. Do you know why the Godzilla was pulled from Mystery Science Theater 3010?
Well, I have a feeling, I don't really know for sure, but I have a feeling that Toho, and with good reason, considers Godzilla really valuable property. So I have a feeling that they've been really protective of that. And somebody at Rhino probably just wasn't paying close attention to their rights with that. It's the kind of thing where someone could read a contract, a lawyer could read a contract, and it could, from their perception, could look totally okay to use. And then once Toho found out that they were releasing it, they said, you can't. And here's the reason why, and here's the contract we have, or we can demonstrate to you that, you may not have the rights to do do it, we'll sue you. You know, whatever reason. I just think Toho was wanting to protect the Godzilla franchise, so that's probably why it didn't make it.
All right, and also there's another group out there called Riff Tracks, and Trace knew exactly where this was going when I talked to him. Is there any animosity between you and the other group?
No, not that I know of. What did Trace say?
Trace said you beat him up a little bit after Comic-Con, and then everything was okay.
Oh, that's a good answer. No, not that I know of. You know, those guys really, they're all really, I think they're all really talented, and they obviously did a great job when they were working at Mystery Science Theater. So I would never want to say anything bad about them.
I completely understand that, and before I go, could you do a couple of things for me?
Sure.
Would you be able to say that you're listening to 88.3 The Dog?
Sure. This is Joel Hodgson from Cinematic Titanic. You're listening to 88.3 The Dog.
All right, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk with us. And
Of course.
hopefully I will get to see you November 21st